And we're going to go now to our last guest. It is Sandy Wolofsky. She's the founder of OuiCanSki program. We is spelled like OUI, like yes, we can ski. An organization that introduces newcomers to skiing to help them embrace Quebec winters. And Sandy joins me now. Hi, Sandy.
Hi.
What made you want to start OuiCanSki?
It's not really a sophisticated story. My grandparents were refugees. They came here. They created an incredible life for me, my brothers, my cousins. I lived abroad, worked abroad for a very long time, realized that I'd been handed the winning lottery ticket without having to buy it, and really wanted to honor them. I really wanted to figure out a way to say thank you to my grandparents. And when I was going through all 16 millimeter films I had, there were two things that I think helped solidify my grandfather's Canadianness. One was he learned how to fish, and the other was he learned how to ski on Mount Royal, where you can see Park Avenue in the background with him, my grandmother, my uncle, and my mom. So when I was sort of coming up with some way to honor them and say thank you, this was sort of the idea. How could I teach newcomers who are also refugees how to ski and embrace winter and love the outdoors?
Sandy, you start off by saying that there wasn't really a great backstory, and then you told such a great story.
I know. It was such a beautiful story.
That is really cool to have that family legacy and want to share it with others. Where our conversation has evolved over the past hour, we've talked about some of the barriers when it comes to accessing the outdoors. And based on what you see, Sandy, what do you think is needed to help more people access skiing?
People come here for a better life, and playing outside is not necessarily a priority. And many newcomers are actually afraid of the winter. They don't think they can enjoy it. They think they just have to survive it. So the first barrier that you have to overcome is convincing them otherwise. I've formed this great partnership with OMET, which is an immigrant aid society. And in the fall, we put on this sort of seminar where we teach newcomers how not to be afraid of the cold, how to dress in layers, how it's about your clothing. I'm sorry that that's like a tacky saying, but it really is about, having the proper clothing. Cotton kills. Hot shots are a complete game changer. And how to access stuff so that what I say to them is, I love winter, I love snow, I hate being cold. So here is what you can do to learn to enjoy the outdoors without being afraid that you're going to be cold too. And so the first thing I do is I teach them about polypropylene and layering and a good jacket and gloves. And one of the things I have to say for my OuiCanSki, Phil and Ross at Eau Claire have been beyond amazing. Anything any one of these guys needs, he helps me get it to them in terms of keeping their fingers warm, because that's an important part of enjoying the outdoors. It's your toes and your fingers. So that's the first thing I would say. The second thing, definitely a barrier, is transportation to go outside. So, one of the things I do is I work with the Association Station Ski Québec, and they will provide the buses for me to get people out to the ski hills. And, that takes care of the next barrier. And in terms of equipment and making it affordable, I work very close. I work very closely with the ski hills. Like, for instance, on March 19th, I'm having an event with Ski Montcalm in Rawdon, and they really reduce the cost to make it, very affordable for everybody, for a day of skiing that we can go, we can enjoy. And really, also the barrier that we try to overcome with OMETS especially is, a lot of people don't even know that this stuff exists outside the city. So we introduce it to them. They don't know what questions to ask to be able to get there. So if you can bring people out, introduce them to places like Camping Saint-Agathe and take them, cross-country skiing, or, Ski Montcalm and take them downhill skiing, then they discover that these places exist. And then they'll ask me questions. Well, how can I get there? And I'll always help them. I'll always figure out a way to get more people out there so that they too can, enjoy the outdoors. And the last barrier, which has already been discussed, but I want to emphasize, is this feeling of reflection that they belong there. That without knowing that they too can be somebody from somewhere else and go to a ski hill, this is why I just want to say it's important to go through organizations, because if you just leave it on a website for them to sign up, they won't, because they don't think that that's them. They don't see themselves reflected. But if you can tap into an organization that is already working with them, I've had people from 23 countries, but I've only worked with 4 organizations, right? So by the organization lets them know that this is okay. And in my experience, when I have sort of what I call like the OuiCanSki ski school, which is sort of a follow-up to our 1 days where they're introduced to the sport, we've kind of discovered that the first week they need their hands held. The second week, still sort of. The third week, not so much. And by the 4th time that they're out on a ski hill, they are strutting around like they belong.
You know what?
So it doesn't take long.
And that's kind of what Atul, one of our guests earlier, said as well. So Sandy, thank you so much for stopping by and telling us about the OuiCanSki program.
Thank you very much for having me.
That's Sandy Wolofsky. And we are coming